Hot girls are crazy because they were never taught who created the heavens and the earth. Let that sink in. We're living in a generation that glorifies beauty but neglects wisdom. A time where being hot gets you likes, but being whole barely gets noticed. And the result, a world full of women who know how to pose for a picture, but don't know how to stand still in the presence of God. Hot girls are crazy because they know how to show skin, but not how to protect their soul. We glamorize the external, the filtered photos, the seductive poses, the loud confidence, but no one wants to talk about the quiet, aching confusion behind it all. No one asks why a woman who seems to have it all, the face, the body, the followers, still cries herself to sleep at night. Why she's jumping from one relationship to the next. Why she's always on edge, angry, defensive, or lost. You think it's attitude. No, it's emptiness. It's a soul trying to scream, but no one taught her how to listen. See, from the moment she could walk, the world praised her beauty. Family, teachers, strangers in malls, they noticed a pretty face, not the pure heart. She was complimented for her looks, not her loyalty. And slowly, without even realizing it, her identity became tied to how much attention she could get. Not how much peace she carried, not how much grace she gave, just how many heads she turned. And here's the problem. When you raise a woman to believe that her greatest asset is her appearance, you also raise a woman who will panic the moment someone more beautiful walks into the room. You create insecurity, you plant seeds of comparison. She doesn't trust herself. She doesn't trust other women. She doesn't even know how to love without performing. And then you wonder why she's crazy. It's not crazy, it's brokenness, it's fear, it's desperation, master's confidence. Do you want to know why so many of these women are angry? It's because they've been performing their whole lives and they're exhausted. They're tired of having to be on all the time, tired of pretending they don't care, tired of suppressing their emotions just to look strong, tired of shrinking their pain to fit into someone else's fantasy. She doesn't want to admit it, but deep down she's begging for something real, something stable, something that sees beyond her curves and into her core. But real requires responsibility, and when a woman has never been taught who she really is, when no one told her that she was made by a divine creator, intentionally, purposefully, with a soul meant to connect to something higher, she starts believing the world's lies. She believes that she needs to show more skin to feel seen. She believes that being desired is the same as being valued, and in that lie, she loses herself. She gives her body away, hoping someone will finally hold her heart. She overshares online, hoping someone will finally understand her pain. She posts, she performs, she provokes, but it never fills the void. Because no amount of attention can replace what was meant to be healed in silence with the one who made her. There's a reason a woman can have 10,000 followers and still feel alone. There's a reason she can be the center of attention in a crowded room and still feel invisible. It's because she's disconnected from her source. She's trying to power a divine spirit with worldly batteries, and they always die out. She's looking for eternal peace in temporary places. No wonder she's emotionally unstable. No wonder her highs are sky high and her lows are soul crushing. That's what happens when you build your life around applause instead of alignment. And let's talk about relationships. You ever notice how the most beautiful women often end up in the most toxic cycles? That's not a coincidence. When you don't know your worth, you'll settle for anything that looks like love. You'll tolerate disrespect just to avoid being alone. You'll confuse chaos with passion. And every time your heart breaks, you don't heal, you just move on faster. New guy, new mask, same wound. She doesn't take the time to sit with her pain. She doesn't pause to ask, what am I running from? Because if she did, she'd realize that what she truly desires isn't a man, it's meaning, is not a date night, it's direction, and she'll never find that from another person. It starts with going inward, with going upward, with understanding that she was never made to be just someone's fantasy. She was created to walk in purpose. But how can she walk in purpose when her identity is glued to public perception? You can't serve two masters. You can't post for likes and pray for peace in the same breath unless you've been called to something greater. Unless you've been called to something greater. Unless you've realized, I was not created for this chaos. Unless you wake up one morning and say, I'm tired of being confused. I'm tired of being angry. I'm tired of pretending this lifestyle makes me happy when it really makes me feel hollow. That's when the shift happens. That's when the healing begins. That's when the mask falls off. A hot girl becomes powerful when she finds stillness in her soul. When she realizes she doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. When her silence speaks louder than her selfies. When her standards are so high that most people can't even reach her energy. And it's not arrogance, it's awareness. She knows who she is. She knows who created her. And because of that, she moves differently, speaks differently, loves differently. She's not out here chasing clout. She's building legacy. She's not out here screaming for attention. She's attracting respect without saying a word, because now she's anchored, she's grounded. And that type of woman, that woman is rare. That woman is dangerous in the best way. But until she reconnects with her source, she'll keep spiraling. She'll keep acting out. She'll keep chasing love in all the wrong places and wonder why she still feels empty after every hookup, every heartbreak, every fake friend, every night out. Hot girls are crazy because the world taught them how to be desired, but never how to be disciplined, how to be sexy, but not how to be sacred. And the moment she realizes that the chaos around her is a reflection of the chaos within her, that's when the awakening starts. She's not crazy, she's just disconnected. And when a disconnected soul starts to remember her origin, when she finally turns down the noise, silences the world, and listens to the whisper inside her spirit, that's when her true power is unlocked. She becomes unshakable. She becomes unforgettable because now she's aligned. That's why hot girls seem crazy, because no one ever told them they were chosen. They've been trained to perform for the world, but never taught to reflect inward. That's the truth no one wants to say out loud. We raise women to be polished, presentable, poised, and completely disconnected from themselves. From childhood, girls are handed a script. Smile, be sweet, stay pretty, make others comfortable, don't question too much. Just fit in, just impress. Just perform. And so she does. She learns to mirror what the world claps for. She becomes what people want to see, not what she truly is, not what she truly feels, just what she thinks will be accepted, celebrated, and loved. She perfects the art of pretending. She masters the skill of being on. And the applause becomes addictive. The attention becomes her oxygen. She can't go a day without checking if she's still liked, still followed, still relevant, because now her worth has been outsourced to the eyes of strangers. She doesn't know how to live without the external noise, because she was never taught how to sit in silence with herself. You think she's confident because she walks like she owns the room, but that walk, it's choreographed, rehearsed, conditioned. It's not rooted in self-love, it's rooted in fear. Fear of being forgotten. Fear of not being enough. Fear of being invisible in a world that only sees surface level shine. But when the lights go off, when the followers aren't watching, when the phone is down and the makeup's off, who is she? That's the question she can't answer, because she's never been taught how to go inward, never been given the tools to explore her depth. She's got a skincare routine, but no soul routine. She knows how to contour her cheekbones, but not how to cleanse her emotions. She can style her outfit, but she can't sort her thoughts. And so when life hits her, when real pain enters the picture, she doesn't know how to cope, because the performance doesn't work anymore. The pretty smile can't hide heartbreak. The curated post can't mask anxiety. The validation can't drown the guilt. And it all starts unraveling, because when you live your life on a stage, Every private emotion becomes a threat to your public image. You start hiding your sadness like it's a scandal. You start numbing your emotions like they're sins. You start being real and you become a brand, a walking brand with zero connection to her soul. That's why so many beautiful women end up in emotional burnout, not because they're weak, but because they've been taught to suppress doubt, suppress pain, suppress longing, suppress truth. And when you keep pushing everything down, pretending you're okay, performing like life is perfect, it always explodes somewhere. Sometimes it's an emotional breakdown, sometimes it's a toxic relationship, sometimes it's impulsive choices, self-sabotage, or an identity crisis. But it always comes because the soul was never meant to be silenced. We weren't created to be performers. We were created to be purposeful. But somewhere along the way, society switched the script. It convinced women that perfection was the goal, that being polished was more important than being honest, that being liked was more important than being known. And that's how she lost herself. She doesn't know what she wants. She only knows what gets praised. She doesn't know what she believes. She only knows what sounds right on Instagram. She doesn't know what's real anymore because she's been playing a role for so long that her real voice is buried under layers of noise. She doesn't need more applause. She needs alignment. She doesn't need a better angle. She needs a deeper anchor. But to find that, she has to pause the performance. She has to stop running and start reflecting. She has to ask herself the questions she's been avoiding. Who am I when no one is watching? What do I truly value? What am I scared to feel? And most importantly, what would my life look like if I stopped performing and started healing? That's a terrifying question. Because reflection isn't glamorous. Healing isn't sexy. Sitting with your pain doesn't get you likes, but it gets you back to yourself, and that's worth everything. When a woman starts reflecting instead of performing, everything changes. She stops needing validation because she's found truth. She stops craving attention because she's building intention. She stops being triggered by every little thing because she's rooted now, grounded, whole. She doesn't need to overcompensate anymore. She doesn't need to be the loudest in the room. She doesn't need to chase spotlight or approval. She's already aligned, and that kind of energy, it's unshakable. And that's where her true beauty begins. Not in the photos, not in the makeup, not in the image, but in her integrity. The woman who reflects, she has depth in her eyes. She has stillness in her presence. She speaks with weight. She moves with purpose. She chooses peace over chaos, wisdom over ego, values over trends. Because she's no longer performing, she's living. The world might not celebrate her right away, because the world is used to noise, but people feel her. Her presence speaks louder than any post. Her energy lingers. Her words penetrate. Her silence commands respect. Because she's not acting, she's aligned. So the next time you see a woman who seems crazy for choosing solitude over social scenes, for choosing prayer over parties, for choosing honesty over popularity, remember, she's not broken. She's breaking free. The performance is over. The healing has begun. And the world isn't ready for that version of her.